Okay, what's up guys? This video is going to be a follow-up to the first video that you just saw of us traveling to Cairo on all the planes. The plane video, if you will. It's also going to be a pre-contextual video to all the future videos that are coming out of our vacation to Egypt. Now, I have two mics recording right here on my seatbelt, and I have two cameras recording. So this is my new setup. I have two cameras, I have two mics. I'm not going to be using them all at the same time, all the time. This is just sort of a test to see which audio quality comes out better and which camera I like the best. But I will continue to use all of this setup in the future videos. I did use both of these in Egypt. I did not use the mics in Egypt because that's a story for the next video, as a matter of fact. I'm not even going to tell that right now. But let's get into this. Camera 1, camera 2. Microphone 1, microphone 2. Microphone 2 I did use on the plane, and that was the one that was picking up the real bad audio. I don't think that microphone 2 likes background noise. I don't think it has like a noise suppression for background noise. I think it picks everything up and blends it together. Microphone number 1 is really good, but it's sort of high-pitched and tinny. So I may have to just sell off both these wireless mics and get me like a Rode or something real high-end for future videos, but that's neither here nor there. This is just a test, and I'm going to patch together the better audio of the two with samples of both so you can hear both. But I'll play the audio of the better one of these two over both cameras while I switch back and forth during this little intro. At the end of the last video, I told you that our flights, our travel to Egypt was a sim in itself, and that we had an adventure before we even arrived in Egypt to have our adventures. Now, there is going to be a lot of firsts in this video, and I'm going to tell you that right now. This was my first travel vlog. This was my first attempt at vlogging, period. So I'm not great at vlogging yet. I didn't have a whole lot to say because I kind of was sort of in the moment of paying attention and not as much into the filming. I didn't want to make it about me. I wanted people to see what I was seeing and experience what I was experiencing, not to see me experiencing something and they not see or experience what I'm experiencing. Do you get it? Does it make sense? Maybe not. Okay, what you're going to see in the following videos is just going to be me commenting here and there, very minor talking with lots of my tour guides giving good information, and I will cut and piece the best parts of the places we went so you're not sitting there bored watching the whole entire video. I'm going to show you our driver Peter and his driving because damn, Cairo's nuts. Peter was a badass. The next first for this trip was that it was the first time my wife and I went on an international vacation together. We've never been outside the country together. On that note, this was the first international trip I've ever taken. I've never been to Mexico. I've never been to Canada. I've never been anywhere outside the U.S. So this was my first trip outside the U.S. And then neither Sarah nor I have been on a business class flight before. So this was both of our first experience in business class, which was insane and totally worth the money. And this was my first experience on what used to be called jumbo jets. 747s and 380s. So the 777 and the A350, which we both flew with. Anything that has two aisles is considered a heavy, which is basically aviation term for a jumbo, bigger jets. They're not the 737s and A320s that you fly domestically all over the U.S. in. It's the bigger jets. This was my first experience on any of those, and I got to fly two of them, which made me super psyched. I plane geeked out hard. That's why there was so much plane stuff in the last video. Let's get to the sim that I was talking about that I never told you about. We arrive at LAX to hop on our Boeing 777 from LAX to Paris, and we found our gate, and by the time we found our gate, it was just about boarding time, and there was already lines forming for every zone. So we're in zone 1, so we hopped in the zone 1 line. As we're standing in line, I see a golf cart pull up behind the lines towards the gift shop, and I don't really pay no mind to it, but out the corner of my eye, I see an Air France flight attendant getting off the front of the golf cart. Oh, okay, here she comes. She's coming for our flight. Then I see 5 other people get off with her. Well, one of these people stood out because he had really, really bright blonde hair, tattoos, wearing a full green jumpsuit, and he lifted his hand and pointed, and he had a really long fingernail that was painted colorfully with, it was very sparkly. I kind of did a double take, and I was like, hey, that's weird. That guy kind of looks like Jeffree Star. And for context, if you don't know who Jeffree Star is, he's one of the biggest guys in makeup there is. And his makeup products are all vegan and cruelty-free, and they don't do any animal testing, and they don't use a bunch of harsh chemicals. And Sarah has a bunch of them. She's been a fan of his for a while. So I was like, hey, that looks like Jeffree Star. So Sarah turns around and she's like, oh my God, that is Jeffree Star. And then she told me that the other 4 people were Jeffree Star's crew. One of them was his personal makeup artist, and we later found out that 2 of them were his, they worked for him making the pallets. So that was kind of cool. So we were like, wow, what a trip. Like, you know, we're passing through the LAX airport. We've been there many times. Never in the international terminal, to be fair, but I've never seen anybody famous at the airport. You know, you kind of figure they travel with helicopters and private jets, so you won't even see them in the terminals. Anyway, Jeffree Star and his crew get off the golf cart and they go into the gift shop there with the flight attendant, and she kind of waits outside for them. After they're done looking around the gift shop, they come out, and the Air France flight attendant escorts them onto our flight. I know that my wife's a fan of his. Okay, to be fair, I fanboy and geek out about every damn celebrity I come across. So I can't say that I wasn't fanboying out. Like, I gotta meet Jeffree Star. I more wanted my wife to get a chance to meet him. As he was walking by, I thought to myself, this is probably gonna be the only opportunity we have to talk to him, maybe get a picture or something like that. And then I double thought, and I was like, that would be kind of shitty if I'm the person to break the ice and get a swarm of people going over to take pictures and get his autograph. So I was like, I'm not gonna say nothing. I told Sarah, you know, that's a trip. He's getting on our plane. Like, we probably won't see him because the 777, if I'm not mistaken, has 4 different classes. So they have La Premiere, which is like, it's like first class on steroids, and then you have business class, and then you have premium economy, and then you have economy. So 4 classes of seats. I thought, oh, for sure he's gonna be in the best of the best. We're gonna be in business. Cool, that was what it is. So we get on the plane, we take our seats. I look over the aisle in the seat next to me, and it's Nicole, his makeup artist. And I only knew that because Sarah told me who that was, and I was like, oh, what a trip. So I started a conversation with her, found out that their crew was flying to Italy to go do some more makeup stuff. I was like, oh, that's cool. That was that. We kind of got comfy back in our seats, and then a minute later, Jeffree Star walked up to Nicole, started talking, and I was like, oh, what a trip. I didn't say anything, but he said hi to me, so I was like, cool. I said hi back to him, and then I started a conversation with him. A few minutes into conversation, I asked him if it'd be okay if we get a picture with him. So I let Sarah go first, get a picture with him, and then he was still generous enough to offer me a picture, which was really cool. So yeah, that's what picture you saw. Yeah, we met Jeffree Star on our first leg of our journey, our longest flight, and his crew, and they were all really nice people. That was cool. That was already sim enough as it was. Like, what are the odds that you ever end up on a celebrity's flight? And more so, what are the odds that you get to talk to them? And I'll insert some of my celebrity pictures here over the years so you can see how fangirl I get and how much I geek out anytime there's a celebrity around. I've kind of learned to control myself a little bit better. But yeah, look at this. And this. How about this? Oh, did you see this? Yeah, how about this? Yeah, those are just some of the celebrities I've met over the years because of my fangirldom. Okay, back to the story. We land in Paris. We have a 5-hour layover, almost 6 hours. We hop on our next plane, an A350. This plane is only 2 years old. It's a brand new plane. It's so freaking nice. Their business class seats are epic. And actually, you'll see in one of the lounges that we were in, one of the first class lounges we got to go in, I think it was actually in Paris on our way home, so you won't see it for a while. But the 777s, the plane we just got off, the one we were on with Jeffree Star, they're remodeling all of their 777s, and the new seats that they're putting in for business class have like privacy doors, and they're crazy. They're like little suites. Unfortunately, ours was not that, but ours was still really nice. But this A350 was quite a bit nicer. It was more modern, obviously only 2 years old. Didn't have the privacy walls completely, the doors, but it was still incredibly nice. And I've got to say, by the way, show your cabin crew and your pilots some appreciation. You know, let them know that you appreciate them for keeping you safe, because their job is not to be your waiter. They're not there to serve you drinks and food. That's not their primary job. Their job is to keep you safe. So be nice to them. Show them a little gratitude. It goes a long way. Most people treat them like they are waiters, and most people get treated like they are customers. So, you know, it's all you have to do is be nice. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, the A350, we hop on that, and I'm chatting up the flight manager, who's the lead flight attendant, complimenting the crew, being really nice. And it's a great flight. Good food, good entertainment. About halfway into the flight, I get up to go use the restroom at the front of the plane by the cockpit. Somebody's in there. So I'm standing there, politely waiting, just standing there. And the flight manager walks up to me and she says, "The captain would like to invite you and your wife into the cockpit." And at that moment, I about peed myself and lost my fucking mind. You've got to understand, for what we call ourselves av geeks, So an airplane nerd, especially me, because I'm so into commercial aviation. After 9/11, people are not allowed in the cockpits during flight. 9/11 destroyed AvGeeks' worlds, because prior to 9/11, if a pilot wanted to, they could let you sit in on the whole flight in the front, in the cockpit. You could take jump seat and just watch the whole flight from the cockpit. It used to be a more open door relationship, but post 9/11, that cockpit door is locked and you only have access when the pilots allow you to have access, and the only access is generally the lead flight attendant, the flight manager. So I'm standing there geeking, trying not to scream and totally fangirling that I'm about to go into a live cockpit in flight at 41,000 feet while flying over Athens, Greece. The flight manager goes and gets Sarah from her seat and brings her up, and she asks us if we're ready, and I'm like, uh-huh. So they open the door, we go in the cockpit. We go in the cockpit of a 2-year-old A350 at 41,000 feet over Athens, Greece at night. And the captain was pointing stuff out on the ground, and we got to see another plane fly under us. It was amazing. Of course, I did not have my phones on me because I thought I was just getting up to go to the restroom, and I left all my phones at my seat, so I didn't get any pictures, I didn't get any recordings, and I'm sure they would have been cool with it, but we got a good 5 minutes in the cockpit with them, and then we had to go back to our seats because the captain invited his personal friend, who was also a pilot, and his wife, who were on our flight, to go into the cockpit for a few minutes as well. But I didn't want to push my luck and say, hey, can I run back to my seat and get a phone real quick so I can record some stuff? So I kind of just played it cool and showed my appreciation and did what Sarah said and lived in the moment. I looked at what the pilot was pointing out. I sat in the jump seat and we had a conversation. Now, the captain told me there are 5 countries in the world where, at the captain's discretion, people are allowed in the cockpit. Pre-flight, during flight, and after flight. Now, anywhere in the world, before flight and after flight, at the captain's discretion, you can go in the cockpit and take a look around. That's anywhere in the world, pre or after flight. During flight, it's absolutely illegal everywhere in the world except for 5 countries, which the captain told me what the 5 countries were, but I was geeking out so hard that I did not retain any of that. But apparently, France has to be one of them because we were on an Air France flight and he invited us into the cockpit. So, and I will be forever grateful for the captain and the that flight manager. I wish I would have got their names because I totally would have given them credit and showed my appreciation even further by shouting them out here on this video. But it was super gracious for them to do that, and it made an AvGeeks dreams come true. I doubt that I'll ever be able to go back into a live cockpit again, but just to have experienced it once in my world, and on a jumbo jet, a brand new A350 at that, was freaking mind-blowing and too cool. So that was what was so sim and so like adventurous, adventure before adventure on our trip to Egypt. Now, Egypt itself was a whole bunch of adventures. You know, every day was its own adventure. You're gonna see all of that in the upcoming videos, but I didn't want to leave you hanging from that last video because I got to Cairo and it was already 2 in the morning before we got to our hotel room. We had to be up at like 6 the next morning or something to go to, well, you're going to see in this video where we got up early to go to. I might include day 1 and day 2 in this video because day 1 was not it was cool, but it was not ancient Egypt cool. So you'll see right now anyway. But yeah, every day was an adventure. Just seeing Egypt as a country and as a society and how they function and their day-to-day lives. Very interesting. Very, very interesting. And ancient Egypt is mind-blowing. The fact that these things are anywhere from 4,000 years old to 2,000 years old, but they're all ancient as hell and still in such good condition, as you will see. It's crazy. I will shout out everybody who we did get to know, our tour guides, our friends who we met from Rome who were also on the tours with us, Ava and Matteo, shout out, really nice people. Our tour guides were all really nice. Yeah, so that I just wanted to give you a little context for these videos. You know, it's going to be not a whole lot of vlogging, so I may start each video out with a little contextual preview, or I may start each video with a contextual follow-up from the video before, just because I don't know how I'm going to piece them together, how long they're going to be, or how they're going to end, because I didn't do endings and beginnings every day. I didn't plan it out well. Kind of just spur of the moment with what I thought. I just picked up my camera and filmed as much as I could. And again, a lot of it is going to be our tour guides talking, but they did have some good facts, some interesting stuff. And but mostly what you're going to see is just the camera filming as much of what I was seeing as possible, so you can see it. Again, thank you for watching. Thank you for joining the channel, and I hope you enjoy this Egypt footage as much as I enjoyed filming and making it and being there and experiencing it all. But yeah, I wanted to share our adventure before the vacation started with you guys, because I thought that was pretty crazy. Two events on 2 different airplanes before we even arrived at our destination. Crazy, but very, very cool. So yeah, thanks for tagging along for this. I hope you enjoy the next, I don't know, 8 to 10 videos, maybe even more. I don't know, I'm gonna try to trim them down, but I have probably, I don't know, days worth of footage, days and days and days. We were there for 11 days and I filmed everything every day. So at the very last video, I'm going to credit our travel agent, and I will also recommend another travel agent. So if you ever want to make a trip to Egypt, you can hook up with our travel agent or this other travel agent. We discovered him through a podcast, and I'll also shout out his podcast so you can check that out. Or if you're planning on making an Egypt vacation, just get a hold of me and I will point you in the right direction. But I'm hoping that these videos, if nothing else, if you plan on going to Egypt, that these will give you some pointers and direct what to expect, how things are. And at the very end of this video series, Sarah and I are making a list of do's and don'ts, recommendations, and things that we don't recommend, things that you need to expect, things you need to be prepared for, and all of that kind of stuff. So yeah, thanks for watching. Please comment below if you have any questions, if you have any comments. I'd be glad to answer them. And that's enough of me talking. Please enjoy the next video of our Egypt trip. This is day 1 in Egypt. This is about 6 to 8 hours after arriving at our hotel. We're gonna get up, we're gonna start this day. So here we go. Without further ado, day 1 in Egypt. Enjoy. I will talk to you on the next video. Peace.